Now we come to the second stage in the hear, map, step, speak process, where the child draws a map to remind him or her of the story. This is a quick exercise, might take 5 or 10 minutes, and it's not an art exercise, it's an exercise in quick sketching. The aim of the whole hear, map, step, speak process is to help the child remember the story. And in mapping, we take the whole complex narrative and boil it down to 10 or 12 simple pictures. So we take the complexity and make it simple. How do you teach mapping? It's good that your children see it before they try it. And the simplest way to show them is a shared mapping exercise. So in shared mapping, you stand with the class in front of a flip chart or a whiteboard and ask them to remember what happens. What happens at the beginning of this story? One might say, oh, the hunter's walking through the forest. Another might say, oh, he shoots the bird. You can decide on the image you choose, but remember you only want 10 or 12 images for the whole story. So you might do a picture of the hunter shooting the bird. Then you can say what happens next, what's the important thing to remember, and then you want the picture of the bag, then the picture of the plucking, maybe the chopping, maybe the bubbling, maybe the burying. Simple images to remind you of the main sequence. Once you've demonstrated mapping with a shared mapping exercise, then let the children have a go by themselves. This is important. By drawing their own map, they're rehearsing memory, and the whole thing is about memory. In order to draw your own story map, you have to go back into your imagination and access those words and images that the story has conjured. So the act of mapping is also an act of remembering. Also, you have to condense down, which is a great memory skill. So you can't do a picture of every word. You can only have 10 or 12 pictures for the whole thing. So you're learning to selectively choose the images that you need and that are important for the story. Once the child has mapped the story, the most important thing is that they can tell the story from the map, i.e. they know what their images mean. And if you do this with 3 or 4-year-olds, you'll get a lot of squiggles. Don't worry if they're squiggles. The important thing is that when the child looks at their squiggle, they can remember what it means to them. Simplest way to do that is to pair up the children and have each one talk their map to their partner, just saying, this is the bit where he shoots the bird. This is the bit where it sings from the sack. This is the bit where he plucks it, and so on. So again, the child is rehearsing memory, this time going from the visual image that they've created and finding words to speak, to name them, the beginning of storytelling.
So this is a man and he's shooting an arrow at a bird in the tree, and then the hunter puts the bird into a bag. Then he chops it into 100 pieces. Then he puts it in the pot.
A picture paints 1,000 words, and that's true for mapping. It may be a half-hour story, but if a child learns to map well, those series of 10 or 12 pictures will be the catalyst to trigger the memory of words. In this way, the child begins to learn fluent storytelling.